If you give your time and your energy and your efforts to work, that's what you want. You put it invested in sports, that's what you want. You put it in a person, a girlfriend or boyfriend, that's what you want. And let's just be honest. At least we'll see a consistency of lifestyle that has integrity to it. Psalm 27. Somebody read verse 1. I'm sorry, verse 4. Psalm 27:4.
One thing
have I desired of the Lord,
One thing I want. One thing I want. Go ahead and read.
that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple.
Now, you know what David says? You know what I want? Dwell in the house of the Lord. That's the one thing I want. Question, what's the one thing you want? And don't lie. Let's follow you around for a while and see where you put all of your time, all of your treasure, and all of your thinking. That's what you want. That's what you want. Addiction is not based on poor unfortunate guy, he's a drug addict. Poor girl, she's a prostitute. Oh, that poor man, he's an alcoholic. That's what they want. That's what they want. You can't break the cycle of addiction unless somebody wants something greater than what they're addicted to. If you want to break the power of drugs, you have to give somebody something greater to want. You can't just say to them, you're dying. Stop drinking, your cirrhosis of the liver. Listen, y'all, you know what? Everybody knows alcohol will pickle your liver. They still drink. Nobody knows you can overdose from drugs. You still do it. Everybody knows that you become a social pervert. Every single serial killer from Jack the Ripper forward was addicted to some form of pornography. When Ted Bundy, night before he was executed, Dr. James Dobson interviewed him. The night before he was executed, he said, what is the one thing you contribute to this hatred for women, da, 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 da? He said, an inordinate desire to always watch pornography. Jeffrey Dahmer, pornography. John Wayne Gacy, pornography. Lee Harvey Oswald, pornography. James Earl Ray, pornography. Sirhan B. Sirhan, pornography. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, pornography. Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombing, pornography, 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 pornography. It makes you a sociopath. It makes you a social misfit. It's not what God intended. See, each one of these addictions erodes your soul. It takes away the ability of your soul to fight anything. It does to you what Satan desires, to lose your ability to control your appetites. And each one of these addictions, I wish we could have real truth in advertising. I wish that we could go into the flop houses and the gutters after a good Johnny Walker commercial, after a Bailey's Irish cream commercial, or a Miller's beer commercial. I wish we could go and look at the families of people who have the results of drug addiction. Go into cancer wards and look at all the people who fried their lungs with cigarettes and now writhing in pain in the oncology section. I wish we could go to find one of the most amazing things. You've heard of Foxwoods Casino? It's somewhere in Connecticut, Massachusetts, one or two. I was speaking in Connecticut, in one of the assemblies in Connecticut, and I had a friend of mine named Gary Campbell, great guy, and I'm one of those people who likes to hang out late at night, that some of you all know. I like to hang out at night. And he said, well, let's go to this Greasy Spoon and get something to eat. So we're at this Greasy Spoon, he and I just talking about things. And Right next to us, in the booth next to us, to the right, was a man, and he had a cup of coffee, and he was trembling like this, and he couldn't find his mouth. Literally, with the cup of coffee, he couldn't find his mouth. That's how drunk he was. He poured the coffee on his hand, hot steaming coffee, poured it right on his hand, and you could tell that it was really hot because his hand turned instantly red. He didn't feel it. He kept trying to find his mouth. And then he kind of turned and looked at us and said, hey guys, can you help me? And we kind of said, well, help you how? He said, I'll give you $100 if you help me find my car. Help you find your car? He says, yeah, I was driving my car. I just come from Foxwoods Casino. I was driving my car, and the cops pulled me over, and they gave me the breathalyzer test, and my blood alcohol was at 0.12. Legal limit is 0.08. and the cops brought me here and dropped me off. And I said, now why would they do that? Take him to a drunk tank and let him get sober. But they, you know what they did? Bring him to a coffee shop. And coffee doesn't sober you up. You just go from being a drowsy drunk to an awake drunk. Okay? Which is even worse to me. So he says, and I think I know where my car is, and I just want to get to my car and drive home. I said, well, how far do you live from here? It's about 25, 30 miles. And so I looked at Gary and I said, Gary, I don't want this guy driving. He said, yeah, and he wrapped his car around a pole. I said, I don't care about him wrapping the car around a pole. He might wrap his car around a little girl. You know, it's time for school. And we said, well, sir, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll find your car. One of us will drive your car, and the other one will drive you, and we'll drop you off at home and give you keys to your wife. He said, oh, yo, that sounds good. I'll still give you $100. I'm not give us $100, you know. And me and Gary go driving, trying to find this guy's car. It's about daybreak, and we come over the crest of the hill. Now the sun is behind us, so it's still dark out this way. And we crest the hill, and all of a sudden, there's this I would say sea of lights, ocean of lights. I've never seen so many lights in my life. I said, what is that? He said, oh, that's the north parking lot to Foxwoods Casino. Foxwoods Casino is the largest casino in the world. Wow. I said, this is just the north parking lot, and those are just the street lights? He said, those are just the street lights for the north parking lot. He said, let me show you the casino. I said, what? I don't believe it. And then rising up the next hill was this massive complex. I said, what? I have never seen in my life. He says, let me show you something sad. And he's pulled over the car. He said, you got anything, you know, like a weapon in the car? No, it's a rental car. He said, well, get the tire iron. Tire iron. So I get the tire iron. I said, what's the matter? He said, come on, let me show you something. We go off into the woods, just off the parking lot. And he had his flashlight. He says, sometimes, you know, they'll attack you. And I'm thinking, chubs, you know, city, urban, underground demons coming at you. Something from a horror movie, you know, something with half a face and teeth and funny eyes, you know. And I said, what are you talking about? And he says, there's one. And what he was showing me were all the people who had lost everything in a casino. And all they had was the clothes on their back. And they hide in the woods and wait for some unsuspecting person who's parked their car on the edge of the parking lot. They'll jump them, take something that they can sell so they can go back and gamble. And we saw a woman who was in a fine fur coat, but that's all she had. And casinos, every casino in America has a means by which you can sell everything you own but the clothes on your back. See, I wish, truth in advertising, I could take kids out, take adults out, and show them that. But you know what you see? You see the lights, you see the glamour, you see the bing, 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 no. You see all that. And they win because they tell the lie. I remember the Michigan State Lottery had this slogan. Somebody's got to win. Why not you? Well, I'll play, and that means I'll win. That's what they're saying. Now, here's the other side of the story, and I'm ashamed of this one. I was asked to speak at a men's conference southeast of Philadelphia several years ago. And the guy who was picking me up was a high official in McDonald's Corporation. And he said, He called me up and said, my name is Frank Guinan, and I'm supposed to pick you up from the airport. He said, but I got to open up a McDonald's in Atlantic City. And the men's retreat is actually closer to Atlantic City than it is to Philadelphia. Why don't you just fly into Atlantic City and I'll pick you up? I said, okay, what do you want me to do? He said, fly into Atlantic City. And he said, take a cab. It's going to cost you about $50, but take a cab into one of the casinos. I said, well, which one? He said, Caesars. Okay, I'll go. Fine. And so I fly in, and he's supposed to pick me up at 5:30. The opening's at 4. He has to do it for an hour and a half. I got there about 4:30-ish to the casino. And he said, the front of the casino. Well, I don't know the front from the back, So he drops me off in this place, and I'm sitting there with my luggage, and the guy in a suit comes up and says, your luggage can't be sitting out here. It's a hazard. Just put it in the luggage room. They'll give you a claim check. I said, okay, put it in the luggage room. Got a claim check. I just stood there. He comes back. He said, oh, and sir, you just can't stand in the casino. You have to play something. I play something? Yeah. He said, anything. I said, well, I don't know what I want to play. I'm just standing like this. And, all of these slot machines. Bam, bam, bam. And I said, well, I got a quarter. At least I'll sit down. So I sat down. I'll put the quarter in. And I pushed the button. Dink, dink, dink. $100 in quarters. I just won. Just popped out of the machine. Bing, 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 bing. Right at that moment, the brother comes walking through the door. Very moment. He comes walking through the door. $100 in quarters. And see, he came in the front. I had come the back way. I didn't know. So he was looking for me. So you know what I had to do? These are the fastest hands on earth. I was able to put all of those $100, that's 400 quarters, in my pockets before he caught me. And I was, okay, have you ever tried to hide 400 quarters? Okay, I went and got my luggage. I didn't have time to put in my luggage, but I mean, pockets are bulging, all my, everything full of quarters. What does he take me out to? Not a van, not a sedan, a Corvette. Wow, Corvette is the only car in the world that you have to fall down, okay? And all of my pockets shifted up like this. And I'm trying to keep the quarters from coming out like this. So we're driving, you hear clink, clink, clink. And then finally the brother said, how much you win in the slot machine? Oh, I'm so sorry. I just had to cry. They told me I had to do something. And I'm looking at the missionaries, I swear. That's my one gambling story. Okay. But I wish there was truth in advertising. I wish one of the most disgusting things on this thing, one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen was a row of kids, 5 of them, and number 1 was texting number 3. That's pitiful. I think we need to put one more up here. Video games.
Yeah.
Video games. Talking about social misfits. Video games. Do you know that the word addicted is in the Bible? Anybody know where it is? 1 Corinthians 16. I showed it to you yesterday. You just didn't notice it. Look at verse 15. I beseech you, brethren, you know the house of Stephanas, that is the first fruits of Acacia, and how they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. This is solid good addiction. Have you addicted yourselves to something holy? How many of you are addicted to reading your Bible? How many of you are addicted to worshiping God? How many of you are addicted to spending time in prayer? God, we need some prayer warriors. We need some prayer warriors. How many people would be willing to be a